And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK Show, and this is going to be episode 124. And in this episode of the MSK Show, I am going to be having a conversation with content creator, the Lapsed Comic Fan. What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. As you guys know, with one-on-ones, they're pretty hard to set up these days because everyone's basically an adult. They got jobs, they have kids, and we were going to set this up, like, I think in December, toward the end of the month, and we're like, yeah, probably just better to wait till January when, like, you know, our jobs aren't basically bending us over and fisting us in the ass. Probably a better time when you're not literally dead. Guys, I'm still tired from the holiday season. I thought getting my 2 days off this week, I'd be, like, not tired at all, but god damn, I was just fried. I was way more fried than I thought it was going to be. So it's going to be a little bit before I recover from that. Holy shit. Holiday season, this past year was just really busy. Felt way more
brutal.
busy than usual. Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah, I have 4 kids, so.
Really? Have you ever heard of the protection plan?
Well,
what's
listen,
that?
I've also heard of the whoops plan. You know, that happens quite a bit. So no more though. All right.
See, that's the thing now. If you say, hey, I want to have some kids and a wife at home, they'll call you a misogynist now. That's crazy.
Me personally, and there's no offense to anybody, I don't really get today's world. So I just throw my hands up in there and go, all right, whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get today's world. It's all a bunch of, like, they're trying to basically get away from the status quo only to create a scenario or many scenarios that aren't as good as it, and then kind of wonder why their lives are miserable. And it's like, sorry, there's a reason why we were created to do the things we're supposed to do. Like, you know, there are some people that are not going to want to do that, but that's so far few in between, you know, compared to how many people actually are going to want to do that. You know, they say like a bunch of women now are like depressed and suicidal. It's like, well, yeah, their purpose in life has been skewered and
they've been made to feel bad for apparently, like, saying that what you strive for, you should want more. And that's not saying, hey, if you want to do that, that's fine, but don't shit on other people that don't. Like my wife, she loves being a mom. You know, she didn't start working again until our kids were grown up. So I mean, like, she wanted to do that, and that's, you know, I don't want someone to look down on her for wanting that. That's just not my deal.
That's the crazy thing is, you ever notice this with women? It's like whenever they have a lot of kids and they're all raised and they're all like grown and they're doing whatever they got to do. Nobody, I don't recall anyone talking about like their career. All the kids will talk about is how great the mom was. All the dad will talk about is how great the wife was. Like, a lot of people gotta understand, women's careers just aren't as valuable as men. Even if they have a good career, it's like an afterthought in like our heads. Like, because keep in mind, even if you're with your wife, right? You're with your girlfriend or whatever. You don't care if she has a job.
No, she could have had one if she wanted to. This is what happened. Whenever I first got together with my wife, we got married very young. I was 18. I'm 43 now. We've been together. It's the first girl that I ever dated. I got lucky. She was amazing. She gave me 4 great children. But when we first met, she was making way more money than I was. But she came to me and was like, hey, Steve, I want to stay home and take care of the kids. And I was like, all right. We'll make it work somehow, you know, like, we'll figure it out. Because I mean, it wasn't just like a little bit of money. She was making a lot more money than I was, because I just took a different road in life. It's a long story. I didn't do the best in life when I was younger, but, you know, to where I am now, it's a completely different story. You know, now I'm like, you know, we're very financially stable and she can do whatever she wants to do. And I commend her for it, because it's very hard staying home and taking care of kids, man, every day. Whew. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
A lot of women don't understand this now. Is what your wife did was basically sticking by you. That's the thing. A marriage is like sticking by your partner through thick and thin. Yeah, and this is the thing is, most guys aren't even gonna care if like a girl makes more than them. Like, I really don't care if a girl made more than me. It makes no difference to me, because a lot of guys don't understand this, and I know you'll understand this. We don't have access to that money. We don't, you know.
No, yeah, I didn't care.
If I don't have access to your money, it doesn't matter if you make more than me. It doesn't have any effect on my life. You know.
No, even
boyfriend and girlfriend still doesn't matter. You ain't getting access to that money. She ain't paying your bills. You're doing it for her. Which is the crazy part.
I think that was for sure. Like, even whenever she was making more money, the main thing that she wanted to take care of was the rent. But like, I tried to do everything else. I felt like it was my job, to do those things, especially when the kids came. When the kids came, I was like, all right, I got to buckle down. I got to start making real money. And a lot of people don't. They always talk about like jobs that they can't get, and it's like the only jobs you can't get are the ones that you don't try for. The job that I work now, like if there was like a piece of paper that said these are the qualifications you need, I would have never gotten it. Never. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't do it.
Really? You didn't graduate high school? That's
No,
crazy.
I left home when I was about 15.
Oh, you just
I
didn't get along
had
with your
to,
mom and
like,
dad, or you just wanted to be alone?
my parents were very, very strictly biblical religious, and I have no problem with that. But the way my dad did things was like, if you stepped out of line, it was, and I was just like, look, man, I was just a different kid. I just, I just didn't see the appeal to that in my young life.
Now, looking back on that, do you kind of
Mhm.
understand where he was coming from? If you look back on it now,
I understand the discipline, but I don't understand the beating.
oh yeah,
'Cause it was a little bit more than just discipline from where, but it did give me the one outlet that I'm surrounded with now. So like my dad looked up to his father a lot, and my dad's father was in the war. My grandfather was in the war and stuff. And he said one of the few things that they got readily was comic books because it was easy to, send in the mail. It wasn't like a big thing. It was, they would get stacks of comic books and the boys would pass them all around. So like Superman and Batman were huge in my life growing up. And it was one thing my dad and I kind of bonded over. Like when the Batman the animated series came out, that was like prime watching in our household. That was like a big deal. And Super Friends and stuff like that was on, and we would watch that on Saturdays in the 80s. And that was like a big thing for me. So when we moved, I was born in California, but I don't really remember it. We moved to
pretty sure
New
you're glad you're
Jersey.
out of there now, given what's
Well,
recently
yes.
happened.
Yeah, this was like 40 something years ago. So like we moved to New Jersey, and I remember a lot of that. But when I was about 10, we moved to West Virginia. And that's where my parents stayed. They stayed in West Virginia and they joined a church, and that was their thing, and it was very weird to me because we weren't really religious. So it's hard when you're like 10 years old and you go from like, I tell people like when I was like 5 and 6, it felt like how like Stranger Things, the TV show, is. Like we rode our bikes everywhere. We played games, and it was come home when the lights came on outside. It was like it literally was like that. And then I went from that to straight, very, very strict biblical upbringing. Like they followed the Bible very, very, very like very strictly. And I just couldn't handle it for me personally. It took its toll on me, but it did give me the comic book outlet because my parents thought that Batman and Superman were still the old Batman and Superman. And the book that changed my reading was The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. That opened my
Yeah.
eyes. And when I read that, I was like, whoa, this is completely different than the comics that I had. It was very different. So I was going to my comic book shop, which was actually by my bus stop. There was an old electronics store that had a back door, and this guy, he had like arcade machines, a couple of them, and he had a bunch of comics that I think were his, to be honest, because he would sell them for like a quarter, like 45 cents, sometimes $1, and they were all old. But he had a book. When he noticed like I was the one buying a lot of this stuff, he was like, hey man, you got to read this because I see you like a lot of Batman. And he was like, try this out. And it was The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. And that's kind of how everything started. I was just obsessed with it after that.
So around that time period when Frank Miller came out with The Dark Knight Returns, you were also around that period where Image Comics was starting to come around too. Were you in that period too with the 90s with Rob Liefeld, Tom McFarlane?
Yeah. I started reading probably about 1984. And
damn, okay.
Yeah, I think I was like four or five. I don't really remember, but I know that when I was in kindergarten, because I have pictures of it, so I had to have had them beforehand. I had comic books and I dressed up like Batman and did things like that. But yes, I was there for the big Image surge and all the guy, the Wills Portasio, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, a lot of those guys. It was a big deal back then because a lot of people got into things differently. I got into it through comic books. I knew kids that got into stuff through like the X-Men 92 cartoon or the Spider-Man cartoon. So, but Marvel trading cards at the time, they had like the Series 1 cards and then the Series 2, but then they had the X-Men cards that were like drawn by Jim Lee and they had holograms and stuff like that. That was like a big thing for my small group of friends back then. That was like a big deal. We would get those cards, get packs and trade and do those things. But yeah, Image was Image was weird to me because it was like so bombastic and over the top. Everything was like big, like it was so crazy. And Spawn, I wasn't as big into Spawn as other people were. I liked Todd McFarlane's art. My brother was real big into Todd McFarlane. He loved his Spider-Man comics and his art. But I was more into like Eric Larson and Savage Dragon and stuff like that. That was my kind of deal.
Yeah, good old 90s Todd McFarlane when he did Spider-Man, the whole
spaghetti noodles.
Birth of the Venom. Good Lord, man. That art. Yeah, it's crazy. He's never going to ever come back and do stuff for Marvel ever again. Like,
no.
You read the Venom Spider-Man arc that he drew. Oh, my God. It's just so good, man.
Yeah.
I know Marvel released a little small, like, you know how they have those little Marvel-verse books? They released a larger size one for, like, the whole Venom Eddie Brock saga with this art in there, a little bit remastered. Oh, it just looks so good. Oh, my God. I love it.
Yeah, they did. I believe they did a whole Todd McFarlane omnibus, Todd McFarlane Spider-Man Omni. But they used to do these Marvel Masterpiece books. They were like paperback, but they were silver. And they would have like an individual run of say like 12 issues or like 14, depending on what it was. And I had the black Spider-Man costume one because that originally appeared, I believe, in the original Secret Wars in '84. They had like this, which was like people have a very nostalgic remembrance of that. But I remember whenever, like a few years after that came out, because that came out right before Crisis on Infinite Earths for DC. And that was like a toy thing. Like Bandai or Mattel or whatever wanted them to make toys, and they made a comic based around it. And in that comic, they had this machine that could rebuild your costume. Yeah, and Spider-Man went in there and came out with the black suit, and people loved it.
A lot of people don't understand that Spider-Man animated series that a lot of people like. The only reason why it was ever created, because the creator mentioned this, all they told him was that, I think he mentioned this too, which is so crazy because nowadays, if this is ever mentioned, you wouldn't get your show. He said they literally told him, I don't care how good the show does, as long as it just sells toys. That's all they wanted back then.
I mean, I think that's, but I think like if you look at the 80s shows like G.I. Joe, He-Man, that's basically what it was. It was a big toy campaign, but it also helped because I remember having like, especially with the WWF when I was little, everybody had the wrestlers that you could put your thumbs in and wrestle. You would do that while watching the show. I had the Grayskull, thing that you could open up, and it had the drawbridge, and I had a couple He-Man characters. I watched that show. Like I try very hard to get my kids to not watch things of today. And this was back in the 2000s. And, I started them on like Bugs Bunny and stuff that they could find some humor in. And it was like three out of the four really liked the older stuff. One out of them didn't really care for it, and they wanted to watch their, SpongeBob and other crap like that. But
Base Kid, I agree.
Right. I mean, he liked what he liked. He knew what he wanted. I can't fault him, and he's doing really well now. He's going to be a way better human.
Just don't show them that Masters of the Universe series that came out on Netflix a few years ago.
No.
That was what's the guy's name? I forgot his name. Kevin Smith.
That
was Kevin Smith. Yeah, I saw like a little bit of it randomly on like YouTube because Netflix has their YouTube channel. I was like, yeah, no. The only thing Masters of the Universe that I love is the cartoon that came out on Toonami long time ago.
Yes, that was fantastic. That was actually really good. That was a lot of fun. And they had like, what was the other one they
That's
did?
Masters of the Universe to me. Anything else is just not good.
Even the old He-Man, as nostalgic as it is for people, it is not. It's not a good show.
That. He was like, when you just yelled at the line, I have the power. I was like, oh my God, I just felt that so hard. Like, it was so good. Like,
yes.
And so to me, if anything is not like that in terms of like live action that they're trying to do now, like, might as well throw in the towel. Because did you see that rumor that they're going to be pushing forward with that Masters of the Universe movie? They've been pushing back for God knows how long. Then the person that's working on it said, yeah, we're going to do a different story than the original. Okay, so you're not doing He-Man then. So what the fuck are you doing then? Stupid.
Yeah,
I hate that. They'll announce stupid shit like, hey, we're going to do this popular IP, but we're not going to do it the way you remember it. Then that's not it then? What?
Yeah, I have a massive problem with a lot of that stuff. A lot of people, so like they'll bait you into that conversation because you know exactly where it's going. You know the end result of what people are going to say. So my thing was always this, like when Marvel started the MCU, they took a C-list character in Iron Man, who that's what he was in comics. He was not an A-list comic book seller. A lot of his comic got stopped.
Also, to add on to your point, even when they gave him 2 animated series, they gave him 2. It still didn't push the needle for him, which is rare because anytime they did that for any other character, it pushed the needle for them. For Iron Man, I don't know if people don't know this, he actually got 2 animated series to push his numbers up. It didn't do it. Even when they gave him those Avengers animated movies, didn't do anything. That's where I first saw him at, was those animated movies that they put out for Marvel a long time ago. So I knew who he was. I was like, but people considered him C-list. I was like, that makes sense. He wasn't really that popular of a character.
Well, it's like, so what was happening is it's very hard, regardless of how big a character is going to be. It is very hard to top DC's Trinity. It's in comic books. It's very hard to top Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They are so ingrained into the fabric of comics that when the Justice League came out, they were already popular. So when the Avengers came out, they took a bunch of failing characters, failing books, and put them as a team. It wasn't like, oh, these comics are selling like crazy, we're going to make this amazing team. No, it was a lot of them were failing. I mean, you can look it up. I mean, that's just how it went. And that was a great move by them. Same thing with the X-Men. The X-Men had been canceled and they're finishing out their run with republished old works from Stan Lee until Chris Claremont got a hold of it and reinitialized it with giant size X-Men in 75, 76. I can't remember the date, but that totally restarted the X-Men because he started a new team and they went to go save the old team. Yeah, and then they became X Factor.
X-Men that a lot of people know and love as the way the X-Men are. And then animated series and that. It's crazy. I understand why the companies went more of an animated series, or you could say television or movie route, is because they realize that the comic books are only going to hit so much. Whereas if you make a show or a movie, it's going to just skyrocket these characters into stardom at different levels. Like, people who talk about these characters only are talking about them in movies and television. They're not talking about comics. They very rarely are, you know? That's how you know the material based on the shows and the movies are so much more impactful than the books are. I know a lot of people don't like me saying that, but it is. Like, average people only know about the movies and shows compared to books. It's just what it is. Books can only hit so hard. You know,
it's well, yes, as the medium changes and as TV became more prevalent, and movies especially, it took that thing that you knew as comic book fan, but it brought it to a mass audience because it's a movie and whether you like comic book characters or not, you might like an action movie. So then it became an action star, and then you got, from there, you go out and you're like, oh, I like Iron Man. But I always tell this story that when I was a kid, one of the first R-rated movies I ever saw that I remember, and I know it's probably not, but The Hunt for Red October, right? So when I saw that movie, I for some reason I liked it. I don't know if it was just because the acting, whatever. But when my dad said, this is based on a book, I was like, what? There's a book of this? I had to read it, but that doesn't happen now. It doesn't, like, I just couldn't understand how people there's this whole universe with these characters that you supposedly love so much, and you are not doing everything in your power to go out and find all the information that you can about them. You only live, like you said, through that medium, which is the movie, TV show, whatever. And that to me is like, it's kind of sad because comic books will die out at some point. They will. I don't know. Like,
we've been saying that for a very, very long time. I actually hope they never die out.
I hope they never die out. I hope they don't.
As you can see, I have, keep in mind, when people talk to me on these episodes of the show, this isn't the only thing that I own. I have packages of books in there. I have books in there I haven't opened. Like, and one of the characters that gets a weird rap is Superman. Because I know people are only talking about television and movies, but there are some really great Superman stories out there. And people have such a weird view of the character. And it's like, I always try to, this is the problem with comics too. You could recommend someone the best run of a character. You could give them like the top 5 best run of a character in your opinion. It's so hard to get people to read. It just is. I think it's the reading aspect of it. People just don't want to sit down and read something. They'd rather just consume it by just sitting down on the chair and mindlessly looking at the screen. You know,
yeah, it's the Wall-E effect.
Yeah, people just like that was. It's the TikTok generation that really got it.
Well,
to me.
Yes,
like,
yes.
The kids' brains are so rotted, man. They don't even know how to read a book or page. They just want to scroll on their phones. Like, holy shit, we're in some bad times here, boys.
Yeah, and I think people fundamentally also don't understand Superman. They just don't.
Yeah.
Superman, the character, right? Superman, the character, he is fundamentally made to punch problems, punch him away. He can punch anything away. The point of Superman is to emotionally attach yourself to a character that is always going to do the morally right thing. And that what people should strive to be. And my brother said this to me because we were talking about this, and he said something to me that I thought about, and I was like, man, you are so right. If you think about it, it's pretty fucked up. Excuse my language, but it's pretty messed up. And he said, at a time and point, because the new Superman movie's coming, at a time and point when the world needs Superman, Homelander is the Superman that we deserve. And I was like, oh, yeah, you are so right. That's so messed up, but that's kind of exactly how the world views things.
Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest part when it comes to, I would say, how the comic books have not only just shaped Superman, but how the movies have done it. Like, pretty sure you watch Man of Steel, and you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I was actually not a fan of Superman until Man of Steel." But that's the thing. I have no problem with someone being exposed to something to make them a fan of it, because everyone is going to start at some point in a franchise or a big IP at different points. No one's always going to be at the very beginning. But I always tell people this, that he doesn't, nothing about Henry Cavill Superman embodies Superman. None of it at all. I've never, like, this thing, I think it's because he's attractive. I'm not gay. I like women. But I think it's because he himself is super attractive. That's the reason why he gets a free pass. He embodies nothing about Superman in any way. I couldn't possibly understand why someone thinks he's Superman. He actually doesn't look like him. He's physically built like him. The suit looks great. But outside of the surface level features, what does he do with Superman? I don't know what Superman in my entire life that would let his dad die to a tornado. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I also think that is, Snyder's vision of it, because Cavill, I guarantee you, if Cavill had any say in it, he is very much a nerd. And he would, like, look what Hayden said about The Witcher. We knew that The Witcher season 2, right from season 2, was going to be shit, because he was like, they're not following the books. He had that video where he was sitting there with the book, sitting by the fire, and he very much, and I can agree with you on the Man of Steel. I agree. Like, people talk about the Christopher Reeve Superman, and it's, it's kind of hard to watch now because it's an older movie, but that embodied what Superman is. He came to give hope to people to strive to be better than themselves.
Yeah, the essence of Superman is there. Even though the movie might be a little cheesy and a little outdated, to be fair, it was made in 89. Or it's 80, right? Or 78.
No, it was like the first one, I think, was 74, 76.
Something like that.
It was in the 70s.
Superman is there. Like, for me, if I had to rank the Superman that I've watched, because I've only never seen Dean Cain's version, I've seen everything else. I would say Christopher Reeves, I would probably go Tyler Hoechlin from Superman and Lois. Then I'd probably go Tim Daly, the guy who voiced in the animated series everyone knows and loves. I'd probably go 4. It'd be like Tom Welling from Smallville. I would have Henry Cavill at like dead 5th. And then he might be 6th when we see like David Cornswood Superman come later on this year when Superman drops from James Gunn. So if you're asking me, he's dead last. Honestly.
I hope it's a good movie. I don't know. That Superman Returns movie, I did not like.
Oh, sorry, Brandon Routh. Yeah, he's above Henry Cavill, just in a small last. I don't know, man.
There was no Supermaning in that movie. There was nothing. He didn't do anything. He saved a plane. That was it.
Actually, you're right. We would have to do a coin toss on that one. I didn't like Brandon. Superman Returns. I have no clue why people think that movie's trash. That movie sucks too.
I look, and as you could tell, I like Superman.
As you can tell, I have a lot of Superman stuff here. It's a
lot.
I
and this is like a very small fraction of my collection of things, Yeah. And thankfully, I have a wife, because I hear a lot of people are like, my wife wouldn't let me have this. She'll make me throw this away. No, man, my wife is like, oh, you like this stuff? Cool, let's put it everywhere.
Well, and that's the thing, though. If anyone has partners like that where they want you to disregard a hobby you've had since you were a kid, that's not a partner for you. No partner is good.
No.
Like literally, no partner should ever be doing that to you. Hey, when guys call their like it's crazy thing that guys will let women decide what hobbies they have. That just makes you a fucking loser. Like you're a loser if you do that.
It kind of sounds funny too. I mean, no offense to you, but when people say partner, I always think like you're robbing a bank. Like,
yeah, I think it's so gay when dudes call their wives their partner. It's like, bro, what are you talking about?
It's my wife. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. Language changes over the years, but I was like, who in the world started calling their wife their partner? So gay. That's fucking gay.
It is, and people get mad at saying it's gay too. And I started saying that's so 90s gay, because it's like you can still say it. Like, I mean, come on, man. Obviously, I don't hate you because of your choices in life. Like, that's so ridiculous. I don't hate you. Like, I don't hate anything, really.
Well, since you have a decent omnibus collection, I have to do it myself. Do you have more Batman omnibuses like me, or do you have more omnibuses of another character? I see you have the Grant Morrison run. I just have book 1. I gotta get the other ones. I think. Let me guess. I think you have the one that has the Reign of Batman. You have the Tim Sale Long Halloween one.
Yeah, I have that, and I have Road to No Man's Land. No Man's Land 1 is out because I'm reading it right now, and No Man's Land 2. I got the Superman Batman omnibus. This is just what I could fit down here. My upstairs library, I probably have.
I know how you feel.
I probably have like 2,000 omnis, and probably over like.
Oh God, you got to let me
30, like 30 to
homies,
like 30 to 40,000 singles, probably. And
man, that's what I tell people, because nowadays people are so into like back issues and stuff. I tell people, if you want older collected runs, buy them in omnibus format. First of all, they're going to be way better quality of paper because it's not like getting it from someone's garage. Also, the amount of time you need to actually hunt and get everything in order. Literally, if you just wanted older books, there's plenty of older omnis reprinting so much great classic stuff.
Yes.
So many.
And one of the cool things is I would read them because they're kind of impractical to read because some of them are so big, right? Well, my wife saw me holding them. She bought me this tray that I put over me in bed, and it tilts. The front of it tilts, so I can just set it there, and I can just read it, and there's a light attachment and stuff like that. So I've been blowing through a bunch of omnis, but I'd say that probably the most that I have is probably Superman and Batman. Like my Batman collection starts here. I probably have in omni form probably every Batman from the start of Detective Comics 27 through the Jim Aparo, Jim Starling run in the 70s and early 80s. Lord.
So,
and then I probably have from that moving forward with.
So you have the one with the people Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb who were on Long Halloween. Do you have the newest? Are you gonna get the newest one? That's the Batman Fugitive omnibus, or was it Chuck Dixon wrote that one?
Chuck Dixon. Yeah, I most likely yes.
Yes, yeah, me. Well, and by most likely, he means he's gonna get it like in a month.
I'll get it probably. Yes, I'll probably get it when it comes.
Dude. Yeah. For me, I have to get that one, and I have to get. Okay, so the next omnibus I'm gonna buy is the new 52 Justice League omnibus. That's what I'm gonna get.
So I have every Jeff Johns omnibus. You can only see the Green Lanterns in JSA, but I have both Justice Leagues over there. I got Absolute Superman. His Teen Titans, Infinite Crisis, his Flash run, his Aquaman run. I have a lot. Like Jeff Johns, actually, the reason why I was called the lapsed comic fan is I stopped for a while, right? I stopped for a while because I started this job and it was a serious job. And I just did not have time. They were working me crazy. So I've been with this company for about 7-8 years, and I finally got to boss status, and I'm making like, high six figures and able to do things that I've never done before. Like, trust me, I've worked at freaking Dunkin' Donuts and places, like I know what it's like to struggle with your working 80 hours and here's your $420 paycheck,
Mhm.
like I know what that's like. And this is to the point where I'm getting a lot of things back. So I said, it's weird. Let me try doing YouTube and see like what happens. Now, I don't make as many videos as other people. So like my user base, my goal was to get 500 people subscribers. That was it. And if I do live streams, I'd like to have like 10 people in there just talking. That was my goal.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I'm not like a guy who I don't want to monetize my channel. I'm not worried about that. I just wanted to do stuff just to have fun and see my journey back into comics. Well, Jeff Johns was the one, because I never really cared about Green Lantern. I had read like, I have a bunch of Justice League Omnis, and that's how I would get my Green Lantern fix. I read like Emerald Twilight, and I had a few of his World's Finest with him and Green Arrow. Well, someone was like, dude, you got to read the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run. It's awesome. And I was like, all right, I'll try it.
EVS that everyone now knows. And as you guys know, for Ethan Van Sciver, he's turned into a literal fat piece of shit. So, talk about people that you actually liked their work, and then you kind of find out that they're just absolute pieces of shit.
They're just crazy.
Like it's Mark Waid. People shut up Mark Waid. I know he's literally mentally retarded. I fully understand that. He's retarded on levels probably not even any normal human can actually comprehend. But to say that he's talented, his writing's definitely not bad. Definitely
there's a lot of Mark Waid stuff that I do like his writing.
Yeah.
And I think that's also, so what, to get back to the Jeff Johns thing. So I read that and I liked it. I thought it was awesome. I was like, wow, this is great. So I like that. But to get back to that, I think people put too much onus into what someone says or what they do as opposed to the works that they create. Like, just because I like this comic book does not mean I support every single aspect of what this person says. I can differentiate between the two. If you can't, that's your problem. That's not mine. Yeah, I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people actually fail to actually grasp as a concept. I even had to say that in my new recent welcome channel update video that I did for my comic book channel, was that, hey, if I say I like this, it doesn't mean I like them as a person. It just means I liked maybe aspects of their writing, aspect of their art, because like nowadays, as you've seen it, people are so tribal with like their mindset. And if you like Zeb Wells, obviously, I told people I didn't, I only read volume 1 of Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, just the first trade. It was first 5 issues. Didn't hate it all that much, but I thought the Peter Parker stuff was not good, and
good.
People were like, man, I feel sorry for you. I was like, you're sorry for me forming my own opinion? That's bad. That would make you an NPC. I just don't like, with comics, I've learned, unless I'm going to read it myself, I'll listen to someone's opinion, but I won't take it as like, okay, I'm not reading it. You have to always, if you can, read and form your own opinion, And keep in mind, people said, but I don't have the money for it now. See, that's also a cop-out now in this day and age. We have the internet. Guys, you could pirate it, though I shouldn't be saying that. You can literally get it for free and see if you like it. There's no actual barrier to entry anymore. It's just, you just want to be an NPC, which is fine, I guess.
And there's like, with piracy, there's a lot of people, usually if you like it, even if you pirate it, you end up buying it because you want it. You want it for yourself. You're like, all right, I'm tired of doing this. I just want it, and I pirated stuff for a long time when I couldn't afford it. I mean, I admit to it. Like that's another thing. Like a lot of people, like they also want to play holier than thou, and that gets to me, I think, more than anything, because I really don't care personally. I don't care outside of my circle. I learned that when I left my house when I was 15, I was homeless for a while, and like when I mean homeless, I mean homeless. Eating food that I didn't know what it was, things where I was just doing where I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize like big people decisions were already being made for me at home. You kind of like don't you take for granted like a roof over your head, or holy crap, I left and it's winter approaching. I have shorts and a hoodie. What am I going to do? Right. So like those type of things you take for granted, but people nowadays, they're already ready to burn you at the stake for anything that hurts their feelings. And that to me, I just don't understand. It's like, I don't want to be the same as you. Not because I don't think you're a cool person, because if we were the same, could you imagine talking to someone that was exactly like you?
Yeah.
That would suck.
It's like when people say there's no good books coming out of the mainstream, and then I always start to question many things. So people have to understand this, because I still buy new stuff that comes out too. No human on this planet can read every single floppy that comes out weekly, unless you literally have. Oh shoot, that was my recent pull list: Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman 4, Justice League Unlimited 2. I gotta open it soon.
Yeah, like, I just did a video for Absolute Batman 1.
So like people will say there's nothing good coming out, and I'll be like, what books are you reading? Because people will say all the books are bad, but that wouldn't make any sense. You can't. I know people can't read every book. They're probably only reading like 2 books and then judging the entire like lines based off that. It's like, that's crazy.
They might not even be doing that. They're probably reading Wikipedia, because that's where I find a lot of that in the conversations. When you have conversations with people like on YouTube comments, I will literally, like, if I don't believe somebody, right, I'll take their comment, copy it, put it in Google. It's literally like right off of Wikipedia. It's literally, and I'm like, dude, you obviously didn't read this. Like, come on, man. Like, if you didn't read it, just say I didn't read it. I don't have an opinion.
That's for me. I will tell people I don't know everything about comics. I will tell you if I haven't read something. I'll just, I don't want to start that out with people. I'd just be honest, you know. And if I do happen to read a story that's controversial, popular, I will get to it eventually. Keep in mind, we're busy lives. And then like people will be like saying certain things that I know they're only listening to someone else tell them that.
Right.
You can easily tell. Yes. I think a lot of people only started thinking certain ways because other people said what was going on. Now, keep in mind, I like a lot of the people. I've even met some of these guys. I don't think they're bad at all. I think they're actually great, genuine people. But you as an audience need to decide for yourself if you like something. They're just telling you from their own biased opinions on stuff. They're not lying to you. You're taking their opinions and kind of basing it on everything. And it's like, that's just not true. Like, it just blows my mind. People will just be like that. They'll be like, well, I'm only going to support indie now because the mainstream stuff is so bad. It's like, well, what mainstream stuff were you getting? And what, like, not everything is bad. Just like, I'll say it's no indie creator. No, I'm not talking like anyone from a publisher. Like, I'm talking Image, the people that do crowdfunds. No indie creator, no writer has been better than Daniel Warren Johnson on that Transformers run. Then I read the first volume, the first 5 issues. No one. And if I had just listened to people when they said nothing was good coming out of the mainstream, I would have never read the Transformers Volume 1 Robots in Disguise trade by Daniel Warren Johnson or Mike Spencer. Come on, guys. You want to be a person in life where you can expose yourself to other stuff and see what you like. And if people are telling you stuff is bad, come on, it's just from their own experience and their own opinions. And come on, I like a lot of these guys too. But it is just their opinion at the end of the day. Are you an NPC? Because everyone was vilifying the left for being NPCs and only listening to like CNN and mainstream media. Well, you yourself are doing the same thing. It's just in a different form of it, you know?
Well, yeah, I've always, everything gets politicized. It does. It's like you said, it's a tribal nature. Until there becomes a third party in America that's taken seriously and that can get on the ballot, that can get on all 50 states, that can get in the debates, right? You're only arguing, you know, 2 sides of the coin that literally are almost 50% in the same thing, but then that other 50% they're vehemently opposed to each other for. And so you get this one president who comes in and he disavows all the stuff that they did, and then they come back in and disavow all the stuff that they did. So you're in a never-ending circle of bullshit, right? That just doesn't solve itself. And then that bleeds over literally into everything. There are people out there that I think when I listen to them, because I listen to a lot of opinions on YouTube, I listen to it because it's hard to listen to the regular news anymore. It's very, very hard. To me, at least, it's just hard because it's so politicized. But then when you go to YouTube, I know 5 seconds in where this person stands. And you know exactly like oh, this is so woke. It's woke. It's this, it's that, it's that. And it's like, dude, I don't, am I dumb for not seeing it? Or are you just saying that all the time now? Is that your only opinion on something? And that goes into comic books. It definitely goes into movies. 100% goes into entertainment, and it goes into politics as well. I mean, it's just, that's how it is. That's how so you definitely, on your advice, I totally agree with you. You have to go out there and form your own opinion. Go out on a limb. Some people might not like you for it, but guess what? Not everybody's going to like you.
I think it's just not everyone's gonna like your opinions. Like, there's been things that I've said I like, and people go like, "What is wrong with you?" But as long as you know you're being truthful and that's what you honestly believe, that's all that matters. You know, like, people will say certain things about certain comic books, and I'll go through them. I don't see anything that bad with them. People would act like shit was the apocalypse. Now, I'll be honest with you. I say the industry is not in a good place. Like, books aren't, like, recently books probably haven't been hitting for a lot of people, but to say that every single book that comes out is bad is just disingenuous, and that's just a lie. Because keep in mind, for you yourself to like, so like, there's certain people out there that didn't like, I started to read Absolute Superman because I'm going to do something in order for the Absolute line. I had the books right over there. People said Absolute Superman was not that good. And then there's people that said it was good. Well, then at that point, it's up to me to decide if I go and read it, do I like it? Same with Absolute Wonder Woman, same with Absolute Batman. I remember someone said to me in a stream I was on with someone, he was like, well, they're just going to mess it up. Based off what? This just started. That's what the Absolute line, when it first started after the Absolute Power event, DC All In Special Number 1. I remember I was like, you know what? This is an alternate universe. Technically, they're not really shitting on stuff that is just new. That's not, it's not the main concept. Because people thought, because DC's so in trouble with this, they always reboot. And I said, no. Anyone that said it's a reboot is a liar. Dawn of DC to All In is not a reboot. It's actually, fans kept begging, don't reboot. They didn't reboot. They just, all they did was just switch creative teams. I said, it's not a reboot. So if you like alternate universe stuff where it's not the takes of the original characters, this is universe for you. And someone said, well, it's going to be bad. I don't know if it's going to be bad. I have to see what they're going to do first to see if it's bad. I can't just say it's going to be bad just because. I mean, all I can go off is pictures and comic panels. Maybe it's bad. I don't know.
But I thought Absolute Batman was fantastic.
I've heard that issue 4 didn't hit recently, but I gotta get it in the mail to read it. Honestly, I have it all over here. I just, as you know, with your old and you're fucking busy, getting to one issue, like, man, sitting down and reading one issue could be a task because you're like, wait a minute, I got to dedicate an hour of time to read this. Because for me with comics, I don't know if you have this too. I actually like to enjoy my time reading. I hate just blowing through the pages, you know?
Well, that's why I think my video for only Absolute Batman 1 just came out. Because I've been reading it. Like, I always buy an issue to read. You know, I always buy an issue to read, and then I go and look out for variants and like stuff that I like, and I bag and board those.
Did you like the noir editions that they were doing for the Absolute?
So I thought, okay, so I thought it was a cool idea, right? But I also understand that, like, when you have something new and it's like shiny and it's cool, you're gonna boost the hell out of it the whole time. I was cool with just getting my like 2 editions and, you know, so I have not personally checked any of them out. I can't say that I have. So I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it.
I think when it comes to the Absolute line, I'm pretty sure you check like the ICV2 numbers, that they're doing very well. And right now, I'll tell people this, they're doing well right now because there's not that many of them. I mean, the Absolute lines for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are like, what, issues 3 and 4? So it's still kind of fresh,
4, 3, 3. Yeah, 4, 3, 3. Yep.
So the biggest test for these books right now is that when it gets into like the numbers of like 8, 10, 11,
when it gets past the first arc and they start those 2 issues where it sets up the next thing. Yeah, that's where you're gonna see, okay, does this have staying power? Because both universes, after, you know, Darkseid they're gonna have to talk to each other. They're going to have to, something's going to have to happen. Now, whether they take their time and build that up, or whether they stick to, we're DC, we have to do this within a year, or the 18 months thing that they do with each other all the time. Look, I do not want another Dark Crisis. Please do not. Please. Just don't. Just don't do that.
At least, like, could we cool it down on, man, it feels like every single time I'm going through Marvel or DC books, you have like not just even Crisis, you have like many big events in people's books, like not big ones. Like you have many little events. Like I know Wolverine and Sabretooth had a thing. You had another, how many Venom wars have we had?
I mean, we just had
another Venom war.
King in Black just a few years ago. I just bought like the whole Venom Donny Cates run. Like, come on, man. Like
you had a gang war again.
Yes. Yep.
How many this obsession with war in comic books is so cringe. Like Batman had Gotham War. There's like so many little mini events going on now. Holy crap, man.
The Catwoman Batman War.
Like, I hope DC learns from this. You don't always have to reboot a book. If sales for a book are going down, because I personally believe if you are on Superman, Batman, or any big book like Spider-Man, X-Men 2, if your sales dip below like top 10, you need to be off that book. There should be no reason, there should be no actual applicable line of thinking to take from someone to accept their books falling. Literally, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Wonder, like you said, these are iconic characters. So the exposure is already there. All you have to do is just be a passenger and write a great run. What is with them and keeping people on for like 3 years plus, knowing fans don't like them, knowing fans don't like the writing? I just don't get it.
It's also set a precedent, like when Hickman rebooted the X-Men, right? And I love Jonathan Hickman. I love him. You know, I have pretty much everything he's done. I have the full X-Men run at the top. I don't know if you can't see it in the top shelf here, all the way up to the Hellfire Gala. And as soon as he said, because he had a 3-act structure that he wanted to do, as soon as he said, okay, we're going to act 2 in the Krakoa thing, they were like, no, it's selling. No. And he was like, well, fuck it. All right, someone else do it. And and they want to, because they see that it might sell and they keep a person, or they just don't want to take the risk of alienating the people that they already have. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know. But when Amazing Spider-Man dropped, like Zeb Wells, I didn't particularly like the run. That's just me.
And you went through all the 60 issues? I only just
I didn't. I didn't go through all 60. No.
Okay.
No, I did not.
When did you drop off?
I think I got off at like 15.
So that'd be like arc 3. So that'd be like 2 arcs after where I'm at. Okay. So what made you get off that at that point?
It was just boring.
Okay.
It was just boring. Like there was nothing in particular. I'm a DC person at heart. I just am. I am, and I like. There's Marvel stuff that I like, but it has to be very particular. Like I loved the Bendis run on Ultimate Spider-Man. I have those over here right behind me. I love those, and I don't know. It just has to grab me, I guess. I'm a DC homer. I always have been, and that's those characters grab me more than Marvel does. It just always has. So I don't know. There's something about it to me that it didn't feel like the Spider-Man that I had knew and read. That's just to me, it just didn't feel like that. So that's why I got off. And I think like you said, they keep people on way too long. And I think it's because
now for 3 years, they just got him off
right
earlier last year. 3 years.
But I also think it's like, dude, you got to think if they might feel like when that pitch is given to them that they know more of where the story is going to go, and they might think it's great, right? Like the Hickman thing. This is cool. This is great. But when he wanted to move on, they were like, no, we're staying here on Krakoa. This is selling. So who knows what exactly he had in place to go forward. We don't know, right? Well, the Zeb Wells thing is the opposite. We saw where it was going, and it didn't. They kept him on even though it wasn't doing. In my opinion,
heard recently they're going to be doing another Amazing Spider-Man reboot to a number 1, but that doesn't even make logical sense because we have a video where I did it on my comic channel. Spider-Man, if you doesn't know this, that Amazing Spider-Man line title never drops below maybe 6, if we're being honest, or on those ICV2 charts. So they're rebooting for a number 1 sales spike for a book that doesn't even drop out of the top 5.
Yeah, it never
seriously
does.
Might be the dumbest thing I have ever seen them do. They're literally rebooting a book for a sales spike that is in the top 5. Marvel don't say this. There's nothing better than that. You already hit the top. There's nothing better than the top. It's
if you're gonna do it like they did with the Hickman Ultimate. Just do that, because that I read that. I've been reading that. I like that. It's different. Ultimate Spider-Man. Definitely different.
So I read issue 1. I have the trade for Married with Children, and I have the Black Panther one, and I have Ultimate Invasion. I have to go through it, but I did read issue 1 for Ultimate Spider-Man. I thought it was actually pretty good. It was really cool.
I thought it was cool. It's definitely different. It's definitely different. Yeah. Right? So if you've read, here's the good thing though, but if you've read all the Hickman stuff through S.H.I.E.L.D., through Fantastic Four, through his Avengers run, you know the characters that are in play. When you read the Ultimate Invasion, you know that the Maker is there. You know that he's doing his shit that he always does. So where does that put the hero Spider-Man? Like, getting your powers when you're a young person and you have all that history, as opposed to, I've already gone through my history, now my kids are here and now I'm getting it. I don't know. That was very intriguing to me. I thought, okay, that's at least different. Uncle Ben's alive. Like, it's different. It's not the same thing, because there is one, thing in the Marvel universe that is a constant. Uncle Ben is dead. he ain't coming back.
One thing that me and Professor Savage were talking about when we had the show earlier this week, talking about the Amazing Spider-Man reboot, was that how many times can someone write a story about this guy being the underdog, can't get it right, always can't get the girl, and you know this because you read the first 5 issues of Zeb Wells' run. Why is Peter calling a girl in a relationship Mary Jane, and she has 2 kids by this guy?
I don't know.
So if they don't want to have him with Mary Jane, cool. Why can't he not have another girl then? Why is it that if I can't have her, I can have an... This is stupid. Can I eat out Black Cat? Can I have her? Can I put my tongue in Black Cat's ass? I have to just only be allowed to be Mary Jane. That's crazy. What is wrong with these people? They're mentally deranged. But
I think one more day really ruined the whole relationship aspect of things, because it's been a perpetual. I have you up here while everybody else is down here. So it's like, no matter what, even if I'm a clone of a clone of a clone, I still love you this much. So it's like, it
blows my mind. It's like the Spider-Man from the first 5 issues that I read from the book were fine. Like, the Spider-Man and the villain stuff was great. I was like, okay, but why is the Peter Parker so trash? Guys, Peter Parker is... I fully understand what people are talking about. The Peter Parker is so bad. Then her fucking boyfriend or husband or whoever the fuck that is, that Dan bitch boy that Zeb Wells put in, that cuck idiot, goes and pays the guy that is texting and calling his wife's bills. I have never seen the level of cuckery in that's just like, Zeb, who touched you as a kid? Who the fuck? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's like if I'm calling your wife and you come to confront me about it. Like, oh man, you're behind on your electric bill. I'll pay it for you. What the hell? I shit you not. That's the actual thing that I was like, huh?
There's no punch to the face. It's, how can I help you monetarily?
How can I just... You might as well just had Mary Jane getting piped down by Peter right in front of him then, if you're going to be cucking him that hard. Holy actual shit, that's so bad.
Yeah, but they'll screw Peter over, because they have to get Guy over here his bills paid. Like, it's the legacy characters, man. You gotta, you gotta fuck them any way that you can.
So I'll ask you this: since you have more DC stuff, did you like, or did you get the DC versus Marvel omnibuses that came out last year? The amalgamation one and the one before that.
Okay, so I did not buy the omnis because I already have the singles. But
you do?
I will, yeah, I will buy them. Christmas. I mean, I wanted to do. We wanted to do Christmas right. Like I said, this is the first full year where I've had like actual money. Went to a different tax bracket. So me and my wife, like, for years, we were always like scrimp and save for the children. So we wanted to do things for us this year as well, because 3 of the kids, they're grown and they are on their own. But we had, after our 3rd child, the way that went down, my wife, it was a very traumatic birth, and the doctor said, you'll probably never be able to carry to term again. Ooh. And then So many years later, we got our little miracle child. And you know, you're not supposed to play favorites with children, but I always say you're my favorite because now I'm older and I'm like, I can understand what to do. And he's just like, he doesn't, he has no ink. I've never seen that kid like have a bad day. He's always happy. He's like the happiest kid I've ever been around. And he loves superheroes. He loves, like, this year I got him they have these little Batman Imagine toys. They're called like Imaginext. And they have these, I bought him this, it was like a 4-foot Batman mech. It was this giant mech, and it's got like these arms that you can punch things with. Well, the little characters that you have, they're like little keys, and their feet go into these things, and you turn them, and they open up all sorts of little, you know, gadgets and gizmos and stuff. So I bought him like a whole bunch of that stuff, and we play with those all the time. And yeah, it's a lot of fun having a kid that's actually into it, because most of the other children are not. They think I'm a giant nerd.
The kids these days, their comics are literally manga. That's their, or they read Dogman, or they read other forms of comics. So like Dogman, or you'd have like what's the guy? It was Captain Underpants, a character like that, which is crazy because that came out when like we were kids, essentially. That's not even new.
My wife reads a lot of she reads a lot of webtoons and stuff like that. But my other 3 children, my 2 older sons and daughter, they want, if it's a comic anything, they're like, nope. They don't want nothing to do with it because they think their dad's a nerd.
Oh God.
You know.
So I wanted to ask you this, since you have a lot of omnibuses too. What's a run for a character that if you could get an omnibus format, like a run that you read that hasn't been printed yet, which would it be?
Okay, so it wouldn't be a run, but I really, really, really would like for them to get a lot of the Elseworlds Batman, like from the 90s. I think like there was like 6 or 7 stories that I really wanted. I have one of them, and it was one where Dick Grayson was Batman, and then nobody had told anybody that Bruce was dead, and he was like masquerading as Bruce. It was almost like Weekend at Bernie's, but he was actually masquerading as Batman. But what had happened was the villain in it was actually the ones that, you know, killed Dick's parents. So like it ended up turning where the reveal was he was Dick Grayson whenever you realized, oh, he's killing these people, and he actually killed them. So there was a bunch of Elseworlds books that I wish that they would just be like, here's a bunch of Elseworlds from the 90s. There you go. That's for me.
They need to print the Iron Man omnibus stuff faster. I was trying to get a lot of the older Iron Man stuff in order. I was doing the Epic collections, and one is kind of like out of print, which is the Epic Collection Volume 3, Man Who Killed Tony Stark, or whatever. It's like you try to look for it, it's just not there. Like they need to, and Marvel has the Epic Collection line. Did you buy any of the DC's Finest line that recently started?
So I have not bought the DC's Finest. No, I have not bought anything from them yet.
I know you're gonna like them because they'll have a lot of older stories.
So that's the thing. Like, so one of the things that I did on my channel is I do this thing. It's called Bat Bits, right? And it's Batman from the beginning. It's from Detective Comics number 27. I do them in like 5 to 6 minute videos, and to show the stark contrast between what people know as Batman now, where it's like no killing and no this and no that, and I'm like, dude, there's an issue where Batman literally goes to a circus and kills 2 giants and then puts the noose around their neck and parades them around the city on his helicopter. And like it drops them afterwards. He just cuts the rope and he's like, so I have like a Batman kill count. I have this whole thing like going. And I also have the Batman bad parenting count. Like there's one thing where they were trying to find this murderer. So he sends Robin to this secluded boat where the murderer is, while Batman goes and looks at tax records. Like, so, you know, just the stark difference between that. I love that type of stuff, where I still like the Golden Age because it's so ridiculous and it's so weird.
The Detective Comics stuff from like, man, I forget where the cutoff was. I remember, so I was going through my history about the 80s, 90s. They started taking it on a more of a serious route because it was so campy from the previous versions. I think it was a good idea to take the gun away from him. because I don't feel like that fits the character if you're looking at the logic of how the character's backstory works. It's crazy that people loved him not killing so much that now if he kills it, they think it's just like an absolute abomination for him to do it. It's like, at least people can kind of understand the character a little bit, because it doesn't make sense for him to do it, given the fact that a gun ruined his life. So why is he using it himself? People are so apprehensive of him killing. It's like, oh, good Lord. Okay.
I think it was like in the early 70s that started, because they started doing World's Fair comics, and it was like they started doing World's Fair and World's Finest, where World's Finest was like the Batman run in the 70s where he would team up. It was like a team up, and it was what is that, the new Batman movie that's gonna be coming out from James Gunn? I can't remember what the frick.
Oh, it's gonna be based on Grant Morrison's run, Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold. So Brave and the Bold, though, they did that back in the day early, and that was the team ups. He would team up like the Green Arrow,
Justice League first appears too. They actually appear in Brave and the Bold first. Yeah.
So like they would do that, and they would team up with whatever. And I love the old 70s stuff because it's hilarious, man. He always talks like, "Hey, jive cat," like that type of talk. It's fantastic. It's ridiculous. And I think like it started changing, Neil Adams changed it a lot. And then Jim Aparo and Jim Starlin, that's where I thought it started changing. Cause like when Jason Todd, when they had the call in, like the write-in to kill him off or save him, and people probably don't remember, but if you read that comic, right, like freaking Joker is like wearing a turban and he's like talking to like the Iranian government. Like it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre, dude. But like that's where I think they started taking some stories more seriously. I haven't read everything, like I said. I still have a ton. Like I got I have the first 10 Golden Age omnibuses. I got the Silver Age Omni. Then I got a lot of the World's Fair stuff that they did, and I have the first 3 or 4. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4 Bronze Age that they put.
The run you have back there, which is Grant Morrison's Omnis, how much of that have you read?
I've read all 3 of those.
Okay, so actually, I have the first volume. So do you think the Batman movie coming out from DCU, do you think that's a good run to have the movie based on?
If it's based on the first Omni, yes. The second one gets a little bit weird, and then the third one is Batman Incorporated. So like it would be a little bit hard to do that, to where you would already need like established universe of Batman and his friends to set up, incorporated all over the world. For me personally, I think a very, very good run to do Batman off of, if you're only going to take the character, right? And the way he acts and the way stuff, would be the Scott Snyder New 52. The only reason why is because it's, in my opinion, for newer people, because that's what they're going to do it for. That's they have to catch. They already have the comic
about
book.
How do I get new people in? That's always their thing. How do I get new people to get in?
That's the easiest, most relatable one to do, because all that history is already there. They didn't change him for the New 52. They kept him as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like they kept it the same, and the Court of Owls is at least something that they could definitely do in a movie and it be singular Batman. So that's, because you get into Morrison's run, and then you get into Damian, and then you're into the League of Assassins, and you're into all this other stuff that, while it's a good place to start if you have some knowledge of Batman, there's a lot of things in there that if you haven't read a lot of the other stuff, you might not understand.
I would even say to people is that like what Scott Snyder did for Court of Owls, now everyone looks forward to a Batman series building up to the Court of Owls. Like people understand they can do new characters. They can make new characters. It's crazy. Fun fact, they actually still make new characters. They just don't hit as hard because they're just not as good. And I tell people those all the time. Just because you make a new character doesn't mean it's going to hit. That's why they typically don't do them, because it's essentially taking a risk, and they're going like, well, if enough of them don't hit, what's the point of doing them? But there's going to be the odd times that they do, and Scott Snyder's one of them. He made
Batman Who Laughs.
Villains. Batman and Man Who Laughs. And Scott Snyder made a group of villains that now everyone looks forward to them coming to a series like Court of Owls. I thought they were so done bad in that Batman versus Robin movie they did.
Yes.
Oh, they were done so bad.
So
I
bad.
know people like the DC animated movies. Some of them are actually very, very good. Most of them are very, very good. But the stinkers they have are so
the stinkers
bad.
they got are terrible. They're terrible.
Oh my god, the way they had Talon cuck Batman, the way they had Damian cuck Batman. Oh my god, it was so cringe.
It was bad.
Holy shit! Did you see what they did with Batman Hush? That was terrible. Throw that in the trash. Actually, burn that to the ground. That was horrible.
It's like
Are you excited for Hush 2 though?
So yes and no. I kind of right, yes, but I kind of get like I don't like it to be called Hush. Like if you want him to be in there, if you want Hush to be in there, fine, that's great. Do something else because now you're setting yourself up to this has to be just as good, if not better, than what came before it. And whenever it's like, Hush 2 or like the Three Jokers, there you go, perfect example. Like whenever
like I have it, I haven't read it yet.
So I love the art. I think Fabok is incredible. That guy is amazing. But the execution for Johns, I was surprised. It was like
didn't resonate with you. Okay,
no, because like when you're reading the end of his run on the Justice League, which was so bonkers, it was so they all become gods and there's all this, and then he sits on the chair, he sits on the freaking Mobius chair, and he's like, tell me oh what? There's 3 of them, and then they built it up with the button. They built this whole thing up, and then to just have it resolved in one book. And it just be like, oh, I don't want to ruin it for you, but
fine, because I'm gonna go through a lot of this stuff and review it anyway.
We're 3 Jokers that make Jokers, and you're like, fuck, like whatever.
Since you didn't like Zeb Wells, because these guys are basically 2 sides of the same coin. What did you think about Tom King's run on Batman?
Okay, so that's rough.
He's easily the best comic writer of all time, right?
No.
God.
Hey, I'll say he's the most divisive. One of them.
He's certainly it's like a Morbius. He's certainly a comic writer. He certainly writes. Don't know if it's always going to hit, but he certainly does write.
Superman was cool.
He did write a Superman story. He did, yeah.
It was cool. I thought I thought that City of Bane was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool, but I did not like Gotham and Gotham Girl. I thought that was like you're getting into freaking like monkey statues and monkey paws and like this gives you your power, and it's like, come on, dude, like what are we doing here? So I mean, like Tom King, I think with the right characters and the right story, he can do very good things. But left unchecked to his own devices, sometimes he goes a little bit when you're going this way and you're like, oh, okay, he goes up here and then down here and then over here, and then all of a sudden he's already behind you, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened?
There is a little thing that I know about the whole City of Bane event, and I know people don't like Damian Wayne a lot. You will not going to like Damian after that. I'll just tell you that right now. After what he does when Bruce tells him not to do a certain thing, and he goes and does it, causing certain X thing to happen that I don't want to spoil. You might hate Damian Wayne, which your anger might go from like I don't like this guy at all to like I really fucking hate this kid.
Yeah, some of the choices that were made in it were fine, but the beginning of it in the setup, I was like, this is great, this is cool. But then the execution.
What what's crazy is that we didn't have a Justice League book for Dawn of DC. That's so weird, and we just got it back now with Mark Waid.
Yeah, well, they, Dark Crisis, they wanted to take away the Justice League. They wanted to give the Teen Titans their shine. That's why we got Beast World and the Beast Planet, which is like, I covered the whole Dark Crisis. I did every book on my channel, and you could see my growing frustration. I am not a Beast Boy guy, right? And they shot him in the face. They shot him from point blank range, and I'm like, oh, they killed him. And then the next book, it's like Dick Grayson just, oh, I can't believe this. My best Beast Boy. I'm like, he's alive. Fucking what? Now he's got a whole like, what are we doing? It's Beast Boy. Fuck.
Oh, God. And then now, even for like the DCEU and the comics, Amanda Waller is always that person that has to come at the end of the book and be like, I'm doing something, and that's gonna be can we stop doing that?
And for Absolute Power, for it to be Brainiac, I was like, you just wanted to do House of Brainiac. That's all you wanted to do. You wanted to do it. At the end, you had a great epilogue. Okay, Amanda Waller. We knew it was going to be Amanda Waller, right? But then she goes into this little chamber, and there's these light figures, and it's all over, and it's just Brainiacs. And you're like, fuck, whatever. All right. Thanks. Like, I don't know.
I would say this for DC, man, there's so many great books that they're collecting coming out. I know they recently did an Aquaman one. I know they did another Aquaman one for the DC's Finest line, the Batman Fugitive books, the Lobo Compendium. That one I really do want to get. That one looks really cool.
The Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special is one of my favorite holiday books to read.
Lobo's such a fun character, man.
You get hired by the Easter Bunny to kill Santa Claus. I mean, that just writes itself. And Bisley had a lot to deal with, like the way Lobo looked, and just back then, like the way he drew Lobo was so perfect. I had this Lobo poster. It was actually my brother's, and it was the fanboy thing where he had the two guns and he was up to his knees in bullet shells, right? And it was like the old bite me fanboy thing. And I used to love that poster, but Bisley's art was phenomenal. And then he's not around no more. And it's like, man, that sucks because he could draw Lobo perfectly. And you got to write Lobo a very particular way.
Since I know you have the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale omnibus for the Long Halloween, Dark Victory, what did you think about the Long Halloween animated movies that they did, like in 2022?
So I thought the change that they made sense, like because you couldn't really see that the ending came out of nowhere. You're like, oh, okay. But at least in the animated one, you were like kind of seeing the progression of, okay, I understand why they made the choice that they did. I get it. I thought I liked that they kept the animation style to what the book looked like. I still like that they did that, but I have them both. And I've only watched them once, and I need to rewatch them because I literally got it like the day the first one came out. And then when the second one came out, I watched it that day. I've never watched it as a full.
I watched them in parts when they dropped. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I think the one that threw me off from watching their animated movies anymore, and keep in mind, they have a lot of great ones in there, was Injustice. I watched that and I was like, you know what, I'm taking a break off these forever.
Yeah, because you read the Injustice, which I have all those too right here.
I have a lot of the books too. Yeah, they're just great. It's really
they're fantastic. They're great. They're so much fun.
Taylor, Micah Miller art back out of the park. Yeah.
Yes.
And for them to just do it in one movie, because
one movie.
You could literally make it a year-long event for many years. There's so much content there.
So much content.
This shitted on a completely. Even the first movie, it's back. What they kill. Flash is such an integral part to that story.
Oh my goodness! He just goes into a room and then it's like over. Like what? Wait! Time out! He's like one of the most integral parts between the two factions. Like what are we doing here? Yeah,
Shazam's not there. He's another important factor there. They take out the whole Victor Zsasz killing Alfred to make Bruce mad, have him go and fight. Oh, so much good shit. So much great shit.
Just the end, like the end of where you're not gonna hurt my family anymore when he beats down Superman. Oh man, that was so I loved it in the book.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Awesome. You won't be seeing that in animated form because they shitted on the whole
shitted on the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah. I hated it. Couldn't stand it. Deadwind. Are you serious?
I thought what they did for Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 3 parts, I was very disappointed.
There was one part that I liked. I didn't see the movies, but I know I saw one part that I liked. When they were doing the anti-monitor, wiping out everything in part 3, you got the Kevin Conroy final send-off.
No, that was fantastic. That was fantastic because it was like he went out saying, I'm like will always be bad, and that I was like, that's awesome. What a prophetic end line for your last
what line. A way to tie up his voice acting career as Batman in that line itself. I'll still go back and watch it randomly because it's so good to see. He still had it, but that's why I hate fucking Mark Hamill. He better not have not voiced Joker with him when he had a chance to, because he said he would only do voice Joker if Kevin Conroy's doing it.
Yeah, and that was the Joker that was in that animated was Mark Hamill. You could tell.
Hopefully. Yeah,
It was him.
weird.
The laugh is unmistakable, though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he sounds weird now. But Mark Hamill's also lost the plot in life. So let's, who knows, dude? The dude's,
you don't say? Our good old Mark Hamill with his Trump deranged syndrome tweets hadn't lost the plot? Fucking hell, man. He's like,
oh, God, he is not regained since they fucking fucked him over from the Last Jedi. When he took the lightsaber and he was like, he was just basically saying, my life, fuck
the nail in the coffin was the titty milk.
And he was just like, good old green titty milk. Gotta love that shit. Now I'm a Force ghost and I can just do whatever I want. I'm dead now.
Oh,
God. What the fuck was that movie?
I don't even know. I only watched it because I had a date and I had a free ticket. The Star Wars to me was always for losers and nerds, and I was like, you know what? I'll watch this loser nerd. Even though I was a Chad growing up, I played Yu-Gi-Oh and I did other nerd stuff. But the Star Wars was always for nerds, and I was like, you know what?
On it, man.
Fuck, God, this is steaming pile of dog shit.
Even like people, that when they loved The Force Awakens, it was definitely a New Hope, just with different colored paint, right? But I was like, but at least they're setting up a bad guy, Snoke. We could see what that is. And then The Last Jedi, they just killed it off. And then they gave it back to J.J. Abrams, and he was like, oh, well, fuck, I don't have Snoke. It was Palpatine. It was him all along. And it's, whatever. It's just like, yeah, that the Disney has destroyed. You had a franchise that all you had to do was tell coherent stories and you could print money for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Print money.
They literally got access to the biggest IP almost ever outside of like a Marvel or DC.
Well, here's the thing. No, it's the third largest money IP behind Pokemon and Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Then it was Star Wars. That's crazy, right?
There's a comic book series that I'm kind of skimming through called The Dark Empire, New Republic. It's after the Return of Jedi. All you do is just literally that. Because most people, let's be honest here, most people don't read books. They don't read comics or any of that shit. All they see is just movies. If they had did the story after the Return of the Jedi, like it had in the books, guarantee you it would have hit. But no, they had to go and make their own ghetto version of Luke, Han, and Leia that were just all absolutely awful.
And the fact that they never even all three had a scene together. How do you do that?
That's not even incompetence. That's just
that's
retarded.
Yeah, that's just I just, whatever. That's what I said. I'm like, whatever. And like the way that the MCU has been going, it's so bad that I really hope DC, if they weren't owned by Warner Brothers, one of the dumbest movie companies on the face of the earth, I seriously hope that this Superman movie, this has to be not just good, it has to be very good. Like, it has to be very good. And if it's not
to be a box office hit, because of the last DC movies that have come out, they haven't been box office hits at all. They've been pretty much all flopping.
Right. Even like, think of this though, the way that movies were before that Man of Steel and Batman v Superman or Batman v Superman and Justice League were considered flops, even though it was like one was like 700 something million, one was 800. They would kill for that right now. For that number, they would kill for it. Look what they did to Captain Marvel. Regardless of what you want to think about Brie Larson in that movie, the first one, it made $1.3 billion. They put in, Miss Marvel, who just never sells books, and they just shoehorned her in there, and they're like, oh, we're happy with the $200 million that it made.
And they're capping out the ass. They're not happy with $200 million.
Of course not. It lost money.
Imagine going from $1 billion movie to $200 million and being like, yeah, we're fine with that. It's like what's that meme of the white albino character crying and you're happy?
Yeah, it's just not, So I think DC has an opportunity here to where they could make something of this if it's done correctly. I hope it is. I don't want to judge it from a teaser. I don't want to judge it from just a teaser. I'll wait till like there's a more substantial trailer. Cause like I did my own reaction to the teaser, right? And I knew as soon as I watched it, because I didn't want to be spoiled. I didn't want to do nothing. But obviously after you watch teaser and you make a video, you go and see what other people are saying, right? Well, I did not do that beforehand. I waited till afterwards. And a couple things that I said, I was like, as soon as I saw Superman and he was down and out on the ground in the snow for the first time, I knew there was going to be a subsection of people. The first thing that we see is Superman and he's on the ground and he's hurt and he's bloody and that's not Superman. And I'm like, well, we don't know why he's there. And then
also, isn't people's biggest problem is that he's too invulnerable and he can't be hurt? That's the
thing. People got to bitch to bitch.
Yeah,
that's it.
Bitch about everything.
They bitch.
The trailer showed you him in all vulnerable moments, him when he's vulnerable, him when he loves someone, and when he protects someone. I think the trailer did an absolutely perfect job on showing you the three best things about his character.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. I thought it was fun. I loved whenever it showed him protecting the girl and he was like covering her and he actually like, covered her whole face and her head. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is good. They need those scenes in there. They need stuff like that in there. The only thing that bothered me was I just wanted it to be just Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love Mr. Terrific. I love Mr. Terrific. I think he's a great character. Underutilized. Tremendously underutilized, in my opinion. And because I always love those characters when you have like a big like event and there's that planner, like Reed Richards would always be that. Like when Hickman did the Avengers, Reed Richards was that guy and he was outsmarting everybody and he was doing this and that. And I thought Mr. Terrific, perfect guy for that. Perfect. He's DC's guy to use to plan out those big things that you need to do. But they used Guy Gardner. They should have used Jon Stewart because
James Gunn has weird taste.
They know Jon Stewart, though. They know Jon Stewart. People know
he said
him.
His favorite Robin is Damian Wayne. His favorite Green Lantern is Guy. I was like, you have some insanely questionable taste. Let's just say that.
Well, he's also said his favorite superhero movie was The Flash.
No. He said it was one of the best superhero movies of all time.
Sorry, it was one of the best superheroes movies of all time.
And we know that movie was just a steaming pile of actual ass.
Yes, there was only one good scene in that movie.
He
started to
run.
I was
searching for that.
When he started to run, but he was doing the run, but he didn't. He didn't have the powers, and he was still doing that stupid ass run.
I remember that. Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I was like, oh,
I love a Flash movie where the main character knows exactly how he got his powers, and then still gets hit by the same shit that he knows is gonna give him. Such a shit movie. But I wanted to ask you this: is that typically on the days you're free, which is Thursday to Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So typically on like Sundays, sometimes we do shows with like Savage Dad with talking about comics. Mm-hmm. If he's not available Sunday, we could even just go through like comics of the week if you want to, or just go through like certain comic news if you want to. That's up to you.
Yeah, listen, if you ever need anything, just send me a message. I'll always be down.
I'll always
be down. I'll be down any day of the week, to be honest. It's just late night I can be available any day of the week, to be honest.
Starting this year, we're doing our comic show on Tuesdays, which is like 7. Well, that's 10 for you. So that's not too bad, but yeah.
I'm up to like 2-3 in the morning.
So I don't know. So this Tuesday coming up, we're going to be reviewing Transformers Volume 2, Transport to Oblivion. I don't know if you read Volume 1 or you're into Daniel Warren Johnson's run yet for Transformers.
No, I have not read it, so I would not be good for that.
Yeah, so
I could get it and read it by then.
So having you sit here and look pretty would be a horrible idea.
Oh, well, the fact that you called me pretty shows the low expectations that we have for guests now.
So what I could do is I could just have you on the next week. Just have you on. Yeah, it'll be next week. I would have you on, let's say Sunday.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
we just go through some comic book news because there's no shortage of comic book news at all.
Yeah, plus there's going to be they always do their massive dump at the end of the year, wait a few weeks, and then it's.
Did you know something recently they did that I thought was so stupid? Not this for DC. So those Tom King trade paperbacks for his Batman run. It was like Volume 1, I Am God. They reprinted them and did the same shit. They reprinted the exact same book, and all they did was call it a 2024 edition, and they're charging like $20. I'm not kidding you. It's one of the same shit. Same covered issues, same pictures. Wow. Yeah. I was like, bro, we are getting desperate now.
Let me grab this real quick. It's just right here. Hold on.
You're fine. God, don't worry, guys. He's gonna give me an omnibus. He's gonna give me probably the Green Lantern one.
This was one of my favorite omnis that I got.
Oh,
this is the Absolute Superman, Jeff John, right? So not only is it like way bigger than a normal Omni, it came with this awesome sleeve, like it's this cardboard sleeve.
Dust jacket looks so cool.
Yeah, and it's got like all the Gary Frank art.
Oh, you have to get that. Oh, that looks so great.
It's huge. It came with a bookmarker, right? Everything. Well, one of the coolest things that it came with is literally the last like 200 pages. They give you a cover gallery. Like that thickness right here is all extras. It's all extras. There's storyboards. There's conversations between him and Gary Frank, all this stuff. And what's amazing is you look at how big the pages are. Like, look at that. Like, that's incredible, man. Like, and the paper is really high quality. It's a fantastic book. I recommend this to anybody who likes Superman. But it's so much bigger than a normal Omni. And it was just well worth the money. I think it was like $79 for it. So, I mean, you know, and you get all the Gary Frank and him storylines, which I thought were great. I thought Secret Origin, stuff like that was great.
I think the only Superman omnibus I have is the Triangle Era omnibus that I opened up in my recent haul.
Which
I have that one.
I am getting that one next week.
Yeah, I have it right
Triangle Era is fantastic.
Oh god, I think it's so big. So my wife isn't definitely feeling that. If you guys don't know what this I still haven't seen because I haven't opened it yet. This is what it is. Someone doesn't know.
Yeah, dude.
It's amazing. This looks great. Oh my god, I could lick this. Ugh.
That's just as big as the freaking Superman, the Death and Return of Superman.
I need to get that one. Yeah,
that's huge, dude. It's like 1,700 pages.
The biggest omnibus I have, if anyone can't see it, is the Batman the Arkham Saga omnibus. That's the biggest one that I have. That thing is huge.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I have to hold the omnibuses for the thumbnails. That thing almost hurt my hand holding that thing on one hand.
That's like I said, that little tray that my wife got me is awesome because then I could. What's cool is like where it lifts up and you could tilt it. The bottom has a lip, so like it does not. The books don't fall off, and I can put it at any angle and just read. So it's awesome. I love it.
So we'll definitely try to get you on more often to talk comic stuff because, as you know, Savage Dad is him when he works, he goes out of town to work like once a week throughout a month. So we'll try and get you on sometime when we're here to just go on and talk about comics sometimes. Because keep in mind, we all have big collections here. I tell you this. If you want, it's a better bang for your buck getting omnibuses or collected editions. You can. I just can't. I don't have time to just. I don't even have a comic shop around me. I can't just go into a comic shop, even if I wanted to, sit down and just go through back issues. I'll pay the extra money to have it all in a collected edition.
I mean, I understand people want certain things because they're worth money, but at this point in time in my life, I need some help going through singles because I have so many. Like I'm talking like probably 20 to 30,000.
I don't know if you have this too. At this point now, if I can't fit them somewhere, I'll just put them in my dresser. I just got to keep them in there. I have no other room.
I bought tons and tons of those plastic pull boxes. So I have them all, but I don't have them in order. I don't even know, like some of them, I don't even know what I have. So I'd have to go through them all.
Have you ever placed like big comic book orders and you kind of forgot what you even ordered? I had that at that point. Unless they literally remind me, I'll just forget.
Yes, completely. 100%. Yeah.
Oh, God. What DC should do? Because I know you like DC. Why don't they do the deluxe editions anymore?
I don't know. They should. So I have a box right here, right? That's just like the most random of random shit. Like this is just so like a random dollar comic, a random Flash, a random Justice League, like just so much random crap here that I don't even know but an Age of Apocalypse single. I have all of them, but like just so much random stuff that I was like, I used to do giveaways on my show. I did a Batman one, right?
Yeah.
And I was surprised because at that point I only had, like a few hundred subscribers. But I gave away, I think like $1,000 worth of stuff. And some guy, I should have in my brain, I was like, I should have said United States only, but I didn't. And a guy in Turkey won, and I had to send it to him. And I did. I kept my word. I sent it to him. He did a video of unboxing all this stuff, and he was like, kept pulling. He was like, "Holy shit!" So I gave him like the whole Scott Snyder run. I gave him the Blu-ray of Batman the Animated Series, the Justice League, all like just tons and tons of random crap. And I have so much extra stuff, so I just started putting it into boxes for like if I've given away like on live streams. Some people are in there. I'm like, does anybody want this? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll send it to you. Here you go. Because I just don't know. I don't know all the crap that I have. It's so much because like I moved a few years ago and never fully unpacked everything. So it's almost like I find treasure chests of comics.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up was what I think the company should do, beside doing like maybe deluxe editions, is they should, because DC recently, I don't know if you bought them. Did you buy any of the DC compact comics, the little small like manga sized ones?
No.
Those are actually really good to get people into new comics because they're just collecting all of a certain run for that character and just putting it out as a larger than size manga book. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
No, I haven't. I do like the putting out full runs of things, which I think is very important to do because it's easier to tell someone, okay.
This what so basically it's a taller than manga size book that collects
that's awesome.
That's the entire thing, and it only costs $10, just $10, like a manga.
Let me see. I know I have Hush here somewhere.
Good lord! It's like, how can you not have that in your collection? Huh.
Yeah, I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. It might actually be upstairs. The same thing, like with the Nightfall stuff. Like, it was like, I don't know why they keep reprinting the same stuff when it's like just reprint, just make the stuff more available.
Yeah,
like make it more available. Like, and I'm fully on board with them making full runs of, because I want to get the rest of the Jim Starlin, Jim Aparo run from the 70s. I want that. I don't know why, I just want it. And the funniest thing is like a run that I have that it's funny to me is one of the first comic books that I had was Starman. And it was around the Invasion crossover in the 80s. And Starman to me was like the pinnacle of awesome when I was a little kid. It's like, this is so cool. And I have it. It's like, I think it's like 55 issues or something like that. And stuff like that you can't always find. I wish that there was a way to get those that you can, but if there's no demand for it, there's gonna be no supply for it. So
yeah,
that's where you do have to hunt down single issues and stuff like that. So
yeah, even recently I tried to get a Thor omnibus for the new printing. The new printing sold out. Then one of the guys that I always buy stuff from, I'll just buy it through PayPal Pay in Force. He knows I always pay him off anyway. He had a damage, and I was like, okay, if there's a little ding, I could get over it. I looked at it, I was like, no, that's too many dings for me. It's like, if it's one ding, I understand it because it's only me that's gonna have it. But if it's like 5, 4, 6 dings, pages a little rip, nah, I'm good. Can't do it. Not even trying to. Not even gonna entertain that road.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
even sell damaged books. I think selling damaged books is so stupid. Like, you might as well just charge nothing on that, if we're being honest here.
The comic book shop that I used to go to in Pittsburgh, in downtown Pittsburgh, what they would do is they would just tear off the cover and they would put it in a free bin if it was damaged. Because they can't sell it, they can't give it to you free with the cover on it because the cover price, they can't do it. So he would just be like, here you go. And he would have a giant box of just free stuff. I would go in there and I would just be like, do you care if I take it all? He'd be like, yeah, I don't care. I would just take tons of comics from him.
That's crazy, man. Like, the more I bought more comics and learned more stuff than I thought I previously knew, I just love it so much. I couldn't imagine a world where I don't buy comics at this point.
It's just it's a very intricate, weird universe that people, there's so many different things that have so many different opinions on. And I've said this before. I remember like having an argument with one of my friends about Batman's cape. Where else? What other medium can you have an argument about a cape?
Like, I'll debate with my friend about Batman killing, and he'll be like, well, he should do it. And it's like, well, I don't think he should because it's not in his character's actual moral capacity that he should kill. And we'll have like hour-long discussion. She's like, well, then they're creatively bankrupt. And it's like, the thing is, I don't know people who really want out of stories. They want the stories to continue, but then they don't want the characters to be the characters that they know and love. They want them to do like stuff that's not in their capacity. It's so weird.
I think that the one thing that I have with Batman that I don't want him to kill, but I have the one problem with him where he's like, if I kill once, I will kill a zillion times. And it's like, no, dude, the Joker should be dead. He's a freaking psychopath, but you can't kill off the Joker because he's your best villain.
But what I've always said is the legal proceeding could kill him. They can give him. I'm pretty sure Batman wouldn't care if he got lethal injection. For sure. But the thing is, they don't write that. It's like, if Batman doesn't want to kill him, that's what I was saying about comic books. If the character can't do it based off what we know of them, why can't the system do it?
Yeah, well, you know.
And Gotham doesn't want to do that because Gotham is very, very corrupt place. The movies almost never get to how bad it is. I think I'll give a credit here to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, even though the second one's terrible. I think he depicted Gotham one of the best ways you could see it.
Oh, the city
actual Gotham City he had was Gotham is a terrible place. There's a reason why Batman has to exist. It's terrible. Superman don't want to go there, visit there. Yeah. You know, no one wants to go to Gotham. It's a horrible, shithole place. There's a reason why Batman has to exist, almost essentially in that universe. Yeah, like it's one of the things, man. I love comics so much. I just couldn't imagine a world where I don't have.
I couldn't either. I couldn't imagine a time where I can't. I at least read something every night. Every night while I'm in bed, I turn on my little light. I get my tray out, and there's something. I got to read something.
Yeah. So, last few things I'll ask you before I head out of here, because I got to get to my other show. As you guys know, for the last Confang, I will try to have him on more. Probably going into we'll set up another solo show, or we'll have him on Sunday to talk about more comic stuff. You'll just have to tell me what you read. That way I can just kind of get into the groove of like getting something faster.
Or man, hey, you guys tell me what you're reading. I'll read it.
Yeah, just let me know what new stuff you're reading. I think I have all that stuff you just have. So
yeah, I have. So right now I'm reading Batman, Superman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. Yeah, right. Green Lantern.
Jeremy Adams run, right?
Yes, and Justice League Unlimited, Ultimate Spider-Man. My pull box is pretty large right now.
Just like my wife. Huh.
Hey there, guy.
So I can read
and a couple others.
Okay. I have Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern Back to Action Volume 1. Do you have the trade? You have the single issues. So So after Savage Dad and me do it on Tuesday, let's see. So you'd actually come up on Sunday. No, I can't. Client podcast on Sunday with Europe stuff. So we could do next Thursday. We could review Jeremy Adams' first 5 issues for his Green Lantern run. Because I have Volume 1. I can just read that. Okay.
Sounds good. Yep.
And I'll probably have the DC All-In special mostly reviewed by then. I should have it done by then. But I'll let you know. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just tell me what you're doing. We can.
Yeah, just work through it. Yeah. So first thing is, that's awesome. I can talk about more comic stuff. Woo! Can't get enough of that. I'll ask you this before we go. First 3 things. Best books you read in 2024.
Best books from 2024, or just
stuff you read in 2024. That's fine too.
Best books I read in 2024. I would say the Absolute Superman Omni. I loved this. And I'd say Ultimate Spider-Man was probably one of my favorites from 2024.
The trade paperback, Jonathan Hickman, the Married with Children.
No, just I was reading that. I have I think there's 12 of them right now.
Oh, you're reading it as it was ongoing.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's in my pull box. Yeah, I read them. I still buy single issues like an idiot.
Yeah, I do. This week my pull list was so low, dude. I had to add stuff in. This week I just got Absolute Batman number 4, and I got the Aquaman Jeremy Adams first book. That's it.
Oh yeah.
So I added. So my total was like $12, and I was like. So I added in like the DC's finest books. I added in the Justice League one, and I added in the Flash one.
Oh, I'll say that I do like the Batman Superman World's Finest a lot.
By Mark, I have those books. I need to read them.
They're fantastic.
Good Lord. It's so sad. He's such a human being of all time. What happened to that man? This man created one of the most talked about things in comics, which is the Batman having the contingency plan thing. That came from him. The Tower of Babel story. And he's such a moron. What happened to people?
I did buy the Tower of Babel special edition this year because my old one was just beat. It was falling apart.
Put it in the washer. Holy crap.
No, it was just I read it a lot, and going through different moves and just being old.
Yeah. Next thing I ask you is, do you have any plans coming up in 2025 you want to let the audience know about?
Not really, because I work so much, and my company got bought out, so there's that. I'm moving over to a new company.
Out to Disney.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Crazy.
So my plans are just to make more videos, a lot more, because I had a really bad 2024 and the end of 2023 and 2024 was not good for me health wise. I have Crohn's disease, so it's like managing that daily is not fun. But I also had a lot of heart issues. And I inherited that from my father. And I was hospitalized a lot last year. That's why I had to take like a year off from doing everything. So like just within like the past 2 months is when I started back up again.
Yeah, man. I
finally got healthy enough.
Yeah, I do hope you get better. That fucking sucks, honestly. But at least your whole entire state isn't burning to the ground like California is right now.
Oh, yeah. No, I live in the mountains. No.
I want to be away from civilization. I need to live in a hut. The last thing I'll ask you is, do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in particular, and anything else you want to say before we end the show?
Shout out my wife, because she's awesome, and it'll be 26 years we've been married.
You've been married since 2001?
Me? Yeah. I got together with her in 99.
Oh, no. Good Lord. Yeah.
It's the only girl I ever dated.
You got married right before the world ended up happening. For now, every marriage.
I mean, it's like I said, it's the only girl I've ever dated in my entire life.
Oh, I'm glad it worked out. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. And my oldest son, Steven, have fun in Florida, bud.
Good Lord. Ron DeSantis is his governor.
He's doing drafting, and he's gonna be working on railroads and stuff like that. So, but hey, kid, do not do everything I would do.
And don't end up homeless either. That's not a good idea. Probably.
No.
It's crazy how people want to be, like, not saying want to be homeless, but it's crazy that people are homeless. I couldn't imagine a life like that, like with nothing.
It's not fun.
Yeah,
it's not fun. I can tell you that. It takes a certain person. Well, it takes a certain person to do it, to get out of it. It's if you're in it, and like I saw people like that where that was their life. They were going to be like this, because when you're homeless, like, you don't abide by regular law and rules. It's like the law and rule of the homeless, and you're left a lot of the time you're left alone from police. As long as you're not, stinking up a nice area, they leave you alone. It's like totally, at least it was in Pittsburgh. That's where I was homeless. It's a total like autonomous government of homeless people. They leave you alone. As long as you are not in nice places, figure it out yourself.
Awesome. So just let people know that being homeless is not good at all.
It is not good and not fun. Trust me.
Yeah. It's also like, man, I just wouldn't want to have a life like that. No food, water. Crazy people bitch and moan that they only got enough money to pay bills. At least you have a roof over your head. At least you're not sleeping on the fucking concrete. At least, you gotta be grateful for some of the stuff you have in life. I'm just glad I can go inside a place that I pay for, that I have running water. That's good enough for me. Sometimes when you get older, the smallest things in life are the stuff that you end up enjoying.
Well, you gain perspective.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the older you get. Yeah, 100%. For sure.
And I'm a white black guy, so I don't do crime. So I'm not one of those certain black people that do crime all the time and don't make good decisions in life.
That's anybody though, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, the trailer park ain't no fun neither. Let me tell you that.
Racist redneck white guys. Oh no.
Boy. No, dude.
God.
They ain't no bag of fun neither, man. But hey, this was fun. I appreciate it.
We'll definitely be doing more content together, as you guys heard on the show. It's great talking to you, man, for the first time. Man, can nerd about more comic book stuff. I love it. I love comic books. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK show, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you guys.